Hi, Todd. Thank you so much for being willing to do this.
Deb?
Lovely to see you. I like this video.
You as well.
So we're going to start with sort of learning more about you. We're going to begin. I'm going to ask you to state your name and proclaim your identity or your superpower or whatever you would like to do in whatever way you would like the world to see you.
So I'm Tod Baker, Colorado native, University of Colorado, Buffalo, father of 2 great children and a husband to a great wife, and son of wonderful parents and brother and sister of Bart and Gwen. Those are the most important things. I'm a healthcare consultant in healthcare. Great.
And you have been a longtime fan and supporter of the Matrix Guard since it was a very, very, very barely an idea. You've been a longtime supporter and we're grateful.
Yes, indeed. I think I was fortunate enough to find out about it almost at the beginning. So I'm really glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you. We're so happy to have you. All right, so we're going to ask one fun thing about you. I'm going to ask a question just that we would not normally ask in an interview to learn a little bit more about you. Our question for you is, what terrible movie do you love?
So it's only terrible because I think other people don't find it to be as exceptional as I do, and that is the movie Raising Arizona. And if you haven't seen it, you pretty much have to see it about 30 times just to really understand the brilliance of it. But it's a Coen Brothers movie, and there's just fantastic subtleties in it, and it is goofy and hilarious. And again, you have to watch it 30 times, but it's fantastic.
All right, I don't know if I have time to watch it 30 times, but I did watch it, I think, when it came out, which was a very long time ago, right? We were young when it came out.
It was the 80s, yeah. It was in the 80s, yeah.
I think I was in college.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so if I were to ask a good friend, if you're someone who'd known you for a while, for one word that would describe you, what word might they use to describe you?
Probably trustworthy or loyal, maybe.
So trustworthy or loyal would be the one word people would use.
I'd say trustworthy. Yeah.
I'd agree with that. All right. So you're a healthcare consultant, but you're also all these other things. And I appreciate the fact that those things come first because they're the foundation on which we grow ourselves. How do you contribute your talents on a day-to-day basis?
Just, I've always felt that effort and time, face-to-face time with other people is the most important way to contribute to advancing any purpose in business or life. And so where I can contribute and moving the cause along wherever it is, that's where I've always felt like I could accelerate and make things happen. And I've always been able to prove that through actions. So that's where I would apply myself.
You are a make things happen kind of guy. That's how we met.
That's right.
So could you say that the part where you get, if making things happen is the part of the work that you like to do on day to day, what part of that really lights you up?
Well, that's it, is if I can apply myself for 5 minutes and see a result, or if it's 3 years and see a result, that outcome of actual a conclusion or a successful ending is what really fires my brain up.
You're an outcomes guy.
Yeah, just that's why I started down the path, and I want to see it come to fruition.
Yeah.
Not everything has come out well. There's many things that have failed that then you just go on to the next track and figure out what the next outcome you're seeking is.
Great. And you've learned from all of those. I know, because you pass on your learning and you're a great mentor too.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So we all look at the world through multiple lenses, and you've shared a little bit about the different perspectives as a dad and as a son and a sibling, and just as a member of your family. That seems to be a really key perspective. Are there other lenses that you look at the world through that would be important for us to know about?
Yeah, I'm very much kind of a nerd history buff, a nerd scientist, and I also have a profoundly personal spiritual relationship with God, and all of those things are influential in everything I do every day. So yeah, I look at it through those lenses very broadly.
And they serve you all so well. I didn't know about the nerd scientist part, so that's
Oh yeah, just the way astronomy, chemistry. I love that stuff. Fascinates me.
Huh, those never come up in our topics. I don't understand.
I don't understand either. Well, now that's our next thing. We'll talk about chemistry or something.
All right, one of the things that the Matrix Guard is doing is in creating an epic fellowship of unstoppable heroes. And we use the hero archetype because we believe that within each of us is dark and light, and within each of us is good and bad, and within each of us is heroic potential. To the extent that we can help each other find that and use that and be our best versions of ourselves is really a big part of our passion. So we like to ask people about their heroes. When you were a kid, who was your hero and what made them a hero to you?
So my father was my hero. I had other, the other heroes like football heroes and things like that, but nothing rose to the same level as my father. And the reason for that is he has the perfect, it's challenging, but he has the generation, greatest generation story. I mean, his dad died when he was 7. He raised himself. Basically, his mother was kind of, frankly, worthless. It was in the Depression. He was starving when he was young. He had to go to work when he was 10. He ended up fighting in combat in World War II in 3 different island campaigns and was a frontline combat vet. Then he came back and put himself through law school, had a successful law practice, and then he became a judge to round out his career. And so he's a phenomenal guy.
Wow.
There you go. So that was my inspiration. So when I grew up.
And what about his ability to do all those things? I mean, that's obviously just listening to that, that's pretty heroic, but is there something in particular about that really, it's overcoming obstacles? What's the aspect of that just really felt most heroic to you?
Really, just tenacity. And there were, and he even said it. There were many times where other people intervened in his life that took him down positive tracks. I mean, there were times he even said he told me once. He said, Toddy, I could have been a hood, meaning criminal. I mean, there's where he was living and no money and all that. He was heading down the wrong path, and then some a physician kind of intervened in his life when he had no male influence in his life and kind of put him on a different track towards law school. So anyway, those are the kind of things. But if I had to say one thing about him is just toughness, tenacity, just perseverance.
Yeah, it sounds like it. And it would have been easy to make a lot of, in that situation, you can imagine how easy it would have been to make different choices. So
that's right.
I'm so glad he didn't.
Yeah, me too.
So now that you're an adult, those are pretty heroic attributes. Is there anything as an adult that you think makes somebody a hero that is changed from when you were a kid?
From as a hero, when I look at heroes, my heroes are people that have sacrificed for others, and first and foremost are probably military heroes, people that have actually put it all on the line, literally their lives, right? And then after that, I've got my next set of heroes are entrepreneurs, and that was, again, it kind of comes from my dad because he was both of those. But the entrepreneurs are the people, in my judgment, that have the passion and have created the mechanisms that allow us to be the most successful and most prosperous civilization in the history of the planet. And so when I look at it, now that I'm 50, whatever years old, I look at other people who are creating things and inventing things and building businesses and hiring people and creating jobs. Those people are heroic. And I think they're underappreciated more broadly, but those people to me are very heroic and make it happen, make the country go.
All right. I don't think I've ever heard that of somebody saying my hero are entrepreneurs, but I agree with you. I've never thought about it that way, but I that is definitely a heroic path.
And it's not it's not Elliot or whatever, Elon Musk, whatever, that guy's an entrepreneur. I mean, it's the lady who opens up a nail shop in a, crappy neighborhood and gives 3 of her friends a job. I mean, that's what I mean, that it could be any level of entrepreneurialism that he just makes things happen, makes the world go.
Yeah. All right. So every hero faces challenges, and then they overcome their challenge and they end up stronger than they were before. Is there a heroic journey that you've been on, that you experienced, that helped make you stronger and helped make you who you are today?
Dozens of them in my life where I've had success. I've been faced with adversity, and I've come out the other side. As you know well, I'm in the middle of one, having started my own company, ran it for 5 years. It failed, and then on the rebound. And so I'm in the middle of this exploration about what that failure means and how I rebound and how I respond. So complicated those things become, I think. And so anyway, that is one I'm living through right now.
And that willingness to be introspective and to learn from something and not just to sort of move on and push it aside is really something I respect and admire about you, Tod.
Thank you.
I think it's very easy to just say, yeah, okay. So now I'm gonna carry on. So I am excited to watch how it unfolds and to see how you come out better, because already I know you're stronger, and you pay that forward to all of us who work with you, who know you, who live in the same space that you're in. And I really appreciate that. And I love that it's in process, so we're not done yet. So
no, it's definitely happening. All very positive about where it's going, though.
Yes. Yeah. All right. So within us, we each have we really believe that everybody has this deep desire to be mentally well, and yet none of us have the privilege to be mentally well all the time. There's just the nature of being human involves experiences that are difficult and uncomfortable and scary and dark and better, worse, because what we're working around is creating resiliency in people, tapping into people's heroic potentials, and allowing the whole full experience of people being human. We wonder if you have any experiences with yourself or with people who are close to you where they've really struggled with their mental wellness, and that's been a big part of their journey.
Yeah, it's interesting. I don't know that I really paid as much attention as I should have to mental health until I got older, into my 40s perhaps, and I started to realize how it is impacting people I love in different ways. I mean, I have close loved one who just understanding that depression is part of their life and how that needs to be managed, and the clinical realities behind that, as well as the psychosocial stuff that goes with that, and then also the reality of my dad dealing with PTSD, severe PTSD his whole life, and having it. I mean, back then they didn't treat it. You're kind of a coward or whatever if you acknowledged it, and the suffering that he went through. I can remember him when I was a little kid, and this is 30 years after the war. Mm-hmm. Just the suffering he went through. So he dealt with that all the way until he died when he was 90. And those kinds of things, I guess wisdom comes with age. And so better observation of those things and recognition of them has become, I've become much more cognizant of the issues.
Mm-hmm. When you think about what we're doing with the Matrix Guard, and you think about that, the generation of people right now who are growing up, that we have an opportunity to allow and support them in both the good and the bad, and help them support each other. Are there things you think anybody could have told you before your 40s or said to you that you think would have made it a little easier for you to access or understand that about yourself and others?
So the question is more about what could people have told me about or educated me about?
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah. When you were younger, that would allowed you to say, hey, this is important to me, and it's important for me to take care of my mental wellness.
Yeah, that's an interesting question, and I don't know if it's if there's things people could have told me differently, or if it's just a question of me becoming more open and more mature to other items. I mean, when I have to be candid, when I was 18 years old, 20 years old, whatever, in college, I didn't know anything about it, and I was like, I kind of had this I'm a tough guy kind of mindset, and so I always thought things like that were just kind of weak, right? Which is just embarrassing to say that. It's reality, but that's the truth. But I think maybe in my 30s and 40s, I was becoming a lot more open to those ideas. I think that the profound challenge that we have in our society is that everything I just talked about. When you're young, there's so many barriers to being honest and transparent with what you're dealing with, and I think that's where the matrix card really can really make a profound impact. In that, finding those kids, you need to talk to somebody who will listen and maybe spend some time with them on their terms. So that's I don't know. That's a long answer, but I think that's where the matrix card really can help.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you. I love that you see that, and we certainly, there is no easy way to do that, but I think to invite the conversations and to go to them, as you said, and to really mean it when we see that everybody has these challenges, and we can all receive help and also all give help, which is a big part of what we're doing. So, since you've been involved since the beginning, about our mission to create an epic fellowship of unstoppable heroes who are really engaged in this mission of making mental wellness more accessible and more acceptable. And our special focus is really on youth and young adults. And we are really intent on going where they are, leveraging the places they choose to be, and the trusted relationships that they have, and the ways that they want to communicate, which means we're going on social media. And in particular, we're planning to start with Twitch, which is a platform with 15 million people a day, where people can, used to be primarily gaming, but more and more every day, it's all sorts of different things: cooking, crafts, politics, music, people sing, dance. I mean, there's all sorts of different things that people are doing on this platform, and they're doing it in virtual communities. So there's someone who's the creator, who's actually creating the content, and then there's communities of people who respond and receive and interact with them. So that was a place that we were most inspired to begin, because we know that there's so many people in the group that we're trying to reach who are right there, and they are they're changing the game and how people interact. So thinking about the Matrix Card through your professional experiences, your human experience, what reactions do you have to our mission?
I believe the mission wholeheartedly. I believe, and I kind of put my business guy hat on, because I believe fundamentally, if you're going to have success in any endeavor in business, that there has to be a tremendous need and appetite in the market. And I think there's an enormous hole in the marketplace, and a need for these kind of interventions and this kind of service. And so I firmly believe that there's a big opportunity and real need for it in the market.
Okay, great. Thank you. You have been a consultant and a guide along the way, so we use your wisdom on a regular basis when thinking about how we answer questions and how we invent ourselves. Is there anything in particular that you've thought of that we don't yet know that you would give us as wisdom or advice as we build that matrix to its full potential?
Well, I mean, you and I've had numerous conversations, and I don't hold back when I think there's what you need to do. I mean, I think for the people you've been tapping into, I'm one of the, I don't know if it's the business side of how to maybe put some of this together, but I've been very focused on making sure you have a good pitch and a revenue stream, and you're buttoned up from an organizational and a financial standpoint, and those things. And I think so nothing new that you don't know already that I would offer.
Okay, well, thank you. We come back to you over and over again, so I know you'll tell us if you think of anything else.
Absolutely.
All right, so you have two choices for your last question, and you could do either or both. One would be to restate our mission in your words in a short statement. The other would be to share 1 to 3 words that summarize your impression or your thoughts about the Matrix Guide.
Try both.
Okay. All right, so let's do the short summary of the Matrix Guide.
Matrix Guard is a community of unstoppable heroes that are working to change and impact the diseases of disaffection in the United States and the world.
Love it. Thank you. All right. And when you think of 1 to 3 words that you would use to just summarize how you think and how you're affected by the Matrix Guard and our vision, what 1 to 3 words would you use?
I'm moved. I'm moved, meaning I'm moved. I'm emotionally impacted by the mission. So I'm moved. As I said, critical, I would say. I think the mission is critical to our country and where we sit. And informed by God. I don't know. It's a mission from God, right? There's a higher thing happening here with you and the team. So that's what I would say.
Okay, great. I love that. I think and I so agree with you. All right. Okay, is there anything that we didn't think to ask you or that you'd just like to contribute in closing?
Well, you and I talked about this, and I want to take this in kind of a somewhat humorous vein.
Okay.
But you know, I'm kind of on the team, the team building Matrix Guard, and to their credit, are very much people that have grown up in the social sciences and that world, and they understand, and they certainly are in social media and so forth. But they tend to be very creative and very much politically tend to be on the left side of the spectrum. So I, however, am not. And I think it's really important to understand the mission of this business has nothing to do with any political or any political motivation or any political ideology. This is about impacting young people, or maybe even older people, meeting them where they are at need and helping them navigate whatever disease of disaffection they have. So I'm on the team. I think it's really important to make sure that as this business evolves, that there's no agenda. There's no we're on one team versus some other tribe or what have you. The purpose of this is to impact the lives of these people and help them get better.
I love that idea that we are all one team. I mean, this is one team, and it's everyone that we want to help is one team. And the fact that you do represent, you and I sort of span the entire spectrum. I think we hit one end to the other in many ways and have more crossover than not. But and I appreciate you saying that, because it is such a big part of what we're doing, that this is an all-in thing. Like, every single person is welcome, included. Everyone has heroic potential. Everyone, not just the people who are like us or the people who we identify with. And I think that's such a critically important part of how we're putting ourselves out in the world. So,
no question. I think this is among other things, is a lesson to what the rest of our country needs, and we can all find ways to make the world better by working together.
All right. Well, I am very happy to have you on the one team with us and to offer that perspective. I think if you go from one end of the spectrum to another, you end up in a circle, because it ends up connecting, and we end up being all on one team, which I'm going to steal from you, Tod.
I agree. Good.
All right. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time very much.
Oh, of course.